In the heart of the Lion People's village, all was quiet. The guards were dozing off at their posts. Fires had burned low. Children slept beside their mothers. No one saw the red eyes glowing in the trees. No one heard the soft rustling in the bushes. The apes had arrived. Babara crouched low, hidden behind a tree. His eyes were fixed on one thing, Shumba's hut. His breath was steady, but his heart thundered in his chest. He had waited for this moment, suffered for it, dreamed of it. And now, it was here. He looked back at the apes behind him. They were silent, waiting, hungry. He raised his hand, paused, lowered it slowly. The signal. A twisted smile crept across his face as he stepped forward. The apes disappeared from the trees like shadows falling from the sky. They spread through the village without a sound. Behind huts, under wood piles, every corner was covered. Babara walked to Shumba's door. He placed a hand on it. It was shut, like his heart. He whispered to himself, "Time to wake the lion." Crack! With one heavy kick, the door exploded open. You are watching the Tales of the Savannah. Subscribe and be part of the tribe. Now let's get back to the story. Shumba woke with a jolt. Leona sat up, breath caught in her throat. "What?" she began to say. Too late. Babara was already inside. He was fast. Too fast. Before Shumba could transform, before he could even roar, Babara had him pinned to the wall by the throat. "You look surprised," Babara growled. Shumba gasped, his eyes wide. He had been caught like prey. Leona screamed, but strong arms grabbed her. Apes. They bound her hands, pulled her outside. Shumba was dragged out beside her, coughing, still breathless. And then, chaos. Screams filled the air. Flames rose from the east side of the village. Lions roared, bursting from homes, but the apes were everywhere. They dropped from the trees, swung from roof to roof. They attacked with rage, with madness. Lions were thrown through the air, children cried out, homes were torn down, fire spread. It was an ambush, a slaughter. The lion people fought back, claws, teeth, roars shaking the air. But it was not enough. The apes had come prepared, stronger than before, fueled by hate, by hunger, and worse, Naraka was not there. "Naraka!" someone screamed. "Lion God, where are you?" shouted another. "Help us, please!" But there was no voice from the sky, no power, no lightning, no roar, nothing, because Naraka was far away, standing before the God of the universe, waiting for the champion who would dare face him in the great heavenly battle. He did not hear them, and below his people were dying. Shumba's knees hit the dirt. His head hung low. He looked around, his village in flames, his people falling one by one. This was not a battle. This was a massacre. He turned his head and locked eyes with Leona. She was sweating, drenched, her face pale, her body trembling. Tears ran down her face. "Shumba," she whispered. But she couldn't say more. Her voice was broken. Shumba's lips moved, but no sound came out. His eyes, wide and dark, stared at the burning sky. There was no hope left in them. Only silence and smoke and the cold, sharp truth. The lion god was gone, and the apes had come, and they would not leave until every lion was dead. The third day of the heavenly games began not with a roar, but with silence. And then trumpets of light sounded, pouring across the heavens. The gates of the throne hall opened wider than ever before. All stood. The angels stopped their wings mid-beat. Even demons hushed their growls. They were here. A figure stepped forth. The air itself seemed to bend around her, softer, sharper, fuller, all at once. Her robe shimmered like woven starlight, a fabric that seemed alive, blooming and fading with constellations no mortal eye had ever mapped. She glided forward, her robe spun from threads of galaxies, her crown alive with blossoms that bloomed and faded in seconds, reborn again, as if time itself obeyed her beauty. The crowd bowed their heads, not because they were commanded, but because it felt impossible not to. Her eyes seemed to see through the veil of every soul. Behind her trailed an entourage of maidens, carrying bowls of living light that spilled like rivers wherever she passed. The crowd leaned forward. Whispers darted from lip to lip. Is that? Could it be? No, she would not come here. It must be. It has to be. For centuries they had heard of her. For ages she had been a rumor, a presence felt but never seen. Few alive had looked upon her with their own eyes. And now, she was here. The god of the universe rose to his feet, smiling warmly. His smile broke the gravity of his throne, warm and unguarded in a way the crowd had never seen before. His eyes followed her every step. When she drew near, he inclined his head, not as a king to his court, but as a man to someone who carried his heart. The crowd gasped. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered louder now, frantic. It is her. She came. She walks among us. She bowed only slightly, her lips curving faintly. He said nothing of who she was. He didn't have to. The way his hand lingered near hers as she passed told them everything. And still her face was serious. She moved like a star gliding through the firmament, untouchable, eternal, yet here, in this moment, stepping into their world. The heavens had grown used to glory, but this was something else. The trumpets sounded again, this time long and low, echoing like the call of stars across endless galaxies. From the north gate, a radiance spilled forth, golden and silver light interwoven, as if the very dawn had taken form. The sister of God entered. Her name carried itself on the wind, Amrith, meaning the unending flame, brilliance incarnate. She was not from here. She belonged to Lunara, the planet of endless twilight skies. There, oceans shimmered like glass, reflecting moons so vast that their light bent the tides into living sculptures. Her realm was known for brilliance, for artistry, for an elegance so sharp it could cut, and yet so soft it could heal. Her people were known to walk with luminous skin that glowed faintly beneath silken robes, their voices carrying harmonies that bent the air itself. And they came with her now. Her entourage was dazzling, beings cloaked in robes of shifting silver and violet, their eyes glimmering like the stars of her skies. Some had wings shaped not like feathers, but like radiant sails of light. Others bore crowns of crystal that pulsed faintly with bioluminescence. They moved as one, perfectly in step, their presence making even angels pause. She walked in front, unhurried, her every step a lesson in grace. Jewels of Lunara shimmered on her wrists, liquid-like, bending with her movement. Her hair caught the light like woven silver fire. When she reached her brother's throne, she stopped. She tilted her head slightly, her eyes moving across the skies of his heavens, across the crowd, and then down to the clouds themselves. Your planet, she said, her voice smooth as twilight, feels a bit small. Did it shrink? She smiled, her lips curving with playful mischief. And the clouds, they looked just a little dull. Did you change them? The crowd inhaled sharply. It was bold to speak so, but he only smiled. The god of the universe leaned forward, warmth in his eyes, and said softly, "It is always good to see you, sister." Amrith smiled back, her radiance breaking through her jest, and whispered, "And it is always good to see you, brother." They embraced, a hug rich with love. The heavens cheered, thunder rolling with their applause. Then she turned. Her gaze fell upon the mysterious woman beside him, the one whispered about, the one the crowd still struggled to name. Amrith stepped forward with regal calm and embraced her too. "It is always an honor, Asherah," she said softly. Asherah smiled and nodded in answer. Amrith sat, her entourage folding around her like flowing tides of silver light. But before the applause could fade, the trumpets blared again. This time the sound was sharper, colder, like metal cutting through silence. From the south gate came another, the brother of God. His name was Vorian. He was from Zitharon, a world of order and precision, where cities of glass and black crystal stretch across endless skies lit by silver light. His people do not shout or sing. They move like machines, their discipline unshaken, their will unified. His entourage entered first. They did not carry banners. They did not cheer. They advanced in silence, their formation exact. Their bodies were wrapped in smooth armor of silver and black, lit by pale blue veins of energy that pulsed like living circuitry. Their faces were hidden behind featureless masks, only their eyes glowing faint, cold white. The sound of their march was not thunder, but a steady hum, a low vibration, as if the arena itself was resonating with their presence. And then he appeared. Voryan walked with calm power, his cloak metallic silver edged with deep black, his crown a simple circlet of alloy threaded with lines of light that pulsed faintly. His frame was broad, his presence steady, his every step deliberate, as certain as law itself. Where Amarith carried brilliance and grace, Voryan carried inevitability. He stopped before his brother's throne. He looked at the heavens, at the angels and demons and mortals all crowded into one place, shouting and cheering, bursting with freedom and chaos. His lips curved into something between a smirk and a frown. "So this is what free will looks like," he said at last. His voice was deep, slow, resonant, like steel striking steel, like judgment that could not be moved. The god of the universe rose, warmth in his eyes.
"It is good to see you, brother."
They embraced strong and firm, and the crowd roared louder still. Voryan drew back, his pale eyes scanning the arena again, drinking in the disorder of it all. He said nothing more. He didn't need to. His silence spoke enough, that where his brother thrived in chaos, Voryan saw only the order waiting to be restored. And with the sister and the brother seated, the heavens themselves seemed to hold their breath. This was no longer just a game, this was a show for the gods. The crowd barely had time to breathe when another sound split the heavens. The challengers arrived. The eagle god swooped in first, wings spread wide, golden feathers catching the light as he landed with the force of a storm. His talons cracked the stone, his eyes sharp as the sun. From the earth, roots cracked the ground. Trees rose, bending toward the center. And there he was, the forest god, tall and rooted, vines wrapping his arms, moss falling from his shoulders. He stood, strong and silent. The gates shimmered again, and the hunter goddess stepped in. Graceful, deadly, her hair tied back, her bow slung over her shoulder. She moved with the calm of one who had already killed gods, her eyes sharp but steady. She stood beside the forest god, chin raised, unshaken by the roar of the crowd. And then a shadow passed over the arena. Wings, vast, white and black. The morning star descended, his lyre hanging at his side like both instrument and blade. He landed with fire in his eyes, his smile sharp, his presence dark. They stood together now, the eagle, the forest, the hunter, and the fallen star. Each bowed. The god of the universe stood.
"My esteemed guests, my people, my Savanians."
His voice thundered across the cosmos.
"Day 3 of the games has begun."
The crowd erupted. Cheers, screams, chants. The earth itself seemed to shake with their roar. The visiting gods' entourages looked around, startled. They were not used to such raw, unfiltered emotion. But some smiled, some even cheered. God raised his hand. The noise died instantly.
"I have spoken to the heavens. I have spoken to the earth. I have spoken to you, my Savanians. You have cast your votes."
A judge stepped forward, bowing low, and handed him a royal scroll. The god of the universe opened it slowly. A scroll unfurled in his hands. He read. He paused, his eyes lifted. For a moment, just a flicker, he looked surprised. He smiled faintly, but his voice rang clear.
"The one who shall face Naraka, the lion god."
Silence. Breathless silence. He looked at the challengers. The eagle god, talons gleaming. The forest god, roots twisting. Morning star, wings unfurled. And the hunter goddess, steady as stone.
"Your champion is..."
The pause stretched so long, even the stars above seemed to lean in closer. Naraka shifted in his seat, leaning forward, heart beating fast.
"The hunter goddess!"
The arena gasped, shock, silence, and then an explosion of sound. Cheers, screams, disbelief, fury, joy, all at once. The hunter goddess lifted her chin. She did not smile. She simply nodded, stepping forward to meet her fate. Inside, her heart thundered, thudding in her chest, but she kept her composure. The games had found their champion. The other challengers bowed once the result was clear. The mortals had made a unanimous decision, one that could not be questioned. The gates thundered open. From the eastern side, the arena filled with golden light. Out of the blaze stepped Naraka, the lion god. The crowd rose as one. Thousands of voices became a storm, chanting his name. Naraka, Naraka, Naraka. The sound shook the very heavens. Angels raised their trumpets, demons roared, immortals shouted until their throats ached. The lion god had come. He was magnificent. His mane burned like molten fire, every strand shimmering with divine light. His chest was armored in plates of gold and obsidian, each one etched with roaring lions that seemed to move as he walked. A cloak fell from his shoulders, long enough to sweep the arena floor. He held a spear, yet he was the true weapon. His presence filled the air like a storm, fierce and undeniable. The siblings of God watched in silence. Amarith, goddess of Lunara, tilted her head, her silver hair catching the light. She whispered, almost to herself, "Still magnificent, even after all these ages." Yet there was a hint of envy in her smile, as though the brightness of this lion dulled her own brilliance. Voryan, lord of Draxion, crossed his arms over his chest. His eyes burned like coals. "Ah, so this is the beast your gods revere," he muttered, half admiring, half dismissing. But the corner of his mouth betrayed something rare: respect. Asherah sat still. She did not speak. But when Naraka appeared, her hand gently touched the armrest of her seat, and the god of the universe turned his head toward her with a smile only for her. Then the western gate opened, and the hunter goddess stepped forth. She was fierce, every movement sharp with focus. Her armor was leather-dyed in forest green, reinforced with golden plates etched with hunting scenes, deer, wolves, falcons, all bowing to her arrows. Across her back, a great bow carved from the heart of a sacred tree, its string humming faintly with energy. A dark cloak hung at her shoulders, fastened by a brooch in the shape of a falcon's talon. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned. She could still hardly believe she had been chosen, voted by the heavens and the Savanians themselves. When she first heard, her heart had soared and trembled at once. But here, standing before gods and immortals, she wore only her game face. There would be no fear, no hesitation. She would give everything or die trying. The arena shook as she walked. Naraka stood waiting, his golden eyes locked on her. They met in the center. For a long breath, they only looked at each other. The lion god's mane flickered with firelight. The hunter goddess's silver arrows glowed faintly. Naraka smiled, sharp and knowing. His voice rolled like thunder.
"Hunter goddess."
She bowed her head slightly, her voice steady as stone. "Lion god." The crowd hushed as the god of the universe rose. His voice filled the air, deeper than mountains, brighter than suns.
My children of the heavens, my Savanians, before you stand the chosen ones, the lion Naraka, my champion, and the hunter, champion, chosen not by myself, but by you.
He raised his hand, and the entire arena went still. Then his gaze sharpened, his tone shifting, stern as judgment.
But heed me well, do not repeat the disgrace of the sun god and moon goddess. This is not a place for foolishness. This is not a place for pride without discipline. This is the stage of gods. You will honor it, or you will not leave it alive.
The gods exchanged puzzled glances. Why such a warning? But the heavens understood. He would not allow himself to be shamed before his kin. Not today. Today was no stage for mockery or jest. It was for spectacle, for glory, for proof that the games were sacred. And before his family's watchful eyes, he would see them honored. There would be no dance. Not today. Both the lion god and the hunter goddess bowed their heads. Their voices were low but strong.
Yes, Lord.
He raised both hands.
Then let the final trial begin.
The crowd leaned forward. Every heart thudded. Every breath stopped. Silence. Naraka struck first. The spear slammed into the stone floor, splitting it like an earthquake. She rolled aside, dust and shards flying. Her blades flashed, striking at his arm. Sparks burst as spear shaft met steel. The crowd gasped at the sound, sharp, ringing thunder. Across from him, the hunter goddess stood tall, her bow strung and blades strapped to her sides. Her eyes were steady, her breath controlled. She had fought before, but never like this. This was the heavenly champion. They circled again, eyes locked, both measuring the other. Naraka roared and drove forward. His spear swept left, then right, each swing heavy as a falling tree. The hunter goddess leapt, spun, ducked, her blades ringing against the shaft as she tried to hold him back. One strike forced her to her knees. Her arms shook with the weight of it. The spear pressed down, grinding into her blades. She clenched her teeth, sweat running into her eyes. Then with a cry she rolled sideways, slicing at his thigh. Blood spilled. The arena roared. Naraka smiled, a deep rumble in his throat. They closed the distance. Her blades came out, flashing silver. His spear spun in his hands like a storm. Steel clashed with steel. Sparks flew like falling stars. Every strike shook the heavens. She ducked beneath his spear, driving her blades toward his side. But he blocked with the shaft and shoved her back with a strength that made the air itself shudder. The gods watching leaned forward, eyes wide. Even Vorian, who hated the chaos of free will, found his lips curling into a smile. This was a fight worth watching. The hunter goddess pressed on. She was fast, faster than the lion god. Her arrows turned into lightning shots, firing at close range, forcing Naraka to twist and parry with his spear. But each time she gained ground, he answered with the weight of a mountain. His strikes split stone. Her speed took over now. She darted in and out, blades cutting at his wrists, his shoulder, his legs. Naraka's spear spun, blocking most, but not all. A gash opened along his arm, another on his calf. The gods leaned forward. Naraka was bleeding. They roared with applause, but her chest heaved. Every strike cost her more. Sweat drenched her hair, sticking it to her face. She refused to stop. She slashed, rolled, spun, blades a blur. His spear slammed the ground, shockwaves cracking the floor. Each thrust carved the air like fire. She dodged by inches, tumbling, flipping, rolling. She landed behind him and sliced across his back. Blood again. The crowd roared her name. Her blade struck again. Small cuts across his arms, chest, legs. She was fast, a blur, her body moving faster than thought. But Naraka's power was endless. Every spear strike rattled her bones. Every block burned her muscles. Her arms screamed. Her breath tore from her chest. Still she came. Still she fought. Her blades cut his chest once more, crossing in an X that sent blood down his torso. For a heartbeat, the hunter goddess stood tall. She had scored again. Then Naraka roared. His body split with light. His spear dissolved into flame. Wings burst from his back, huge and terrible, the wings of a lion god. His roar shook the skies. He was no longer man and beast. He was storm and fire together. He was done playing games. The crowd gasped. The hunter goddess froze for only a heartbeat, then loosed 3 arrows in quick fire. They struck his mane but burned away as if swallowed by the sun. The gods gasped as the arrow skimmed past the rows of divine seats, so close it nearly brushed Vorian himself. Vorian laughed, thrilled, clapping his hands in delight. Naraka launched forward, his wings whipping hurricanes behind him. The columns of the arena cracked under the wind. He slammed into her like a comet. She rolled away, barely alive, her shoulder ripped by his claws. She jumped to her feet, but he was already above her, circling like a hawk. Then he dove. The hunter goddess did not stop. She leapt onto his back mid-flight, gripping his mane, her blades flashing. She tried to drive them into his neck, the same move she had used to end the snake goddess. But Naraka roared, twisting like a storm, and she was flung from his back, rolling across the ground. She rose, blood streaking her arm, her chest heaving. Still, she lifted her bow, defiance in her eyes. Naraka's wings stretched wide. He beat them once and the shockwave knocked her back to her knees. He charged again, teeth bared, claws tearing the air. She rolled under him, sliced across his belly, and the lion god bled. The crowd screamed. The gods rose to their feet. Even Asherah's lips parted in awe, though her hands clenched tight in her lap. The hunter goddess pressed her advantage. She leapt, driving her blades down toward his throat. But Naraka rolled, wings folding, and when he came up his eyes were burning like suns. He pounced. The hunter goddess was fast. She cut his cheek. She loosed another arrow into his side. But Naraka was now merciless. He slammed her bow aside, raked his claws across the ground to trip her, then spun and struck her chest with his paw. The sound was like thunder. She staggered, fell to the ground. Silence. The gods leaned in. The crowd held its breath. Slowly she rose again. The gods whispered. The goddesses screamed her name. Never before had a goddess stood against Naraka like this. But then it came. The voices. Naraka froze just for a moment. A roar stuck in his throat. His ears twitched. Faint echo of voices calling his name from far below. Voices of his people. Stumbled. His great wings wavered, his body dropping lower. The confusion was written on his face. Then louder. Cries rising in Naraka's skull. Please prayers. Desperation. Naraka, help us! He faltered. His wings trembled. His strikes slowed. His eyes darted to the ground as if he could see through the world itself. The hunter goddess saw it, and she seized her moment. She loosed an arrow straight into his thigh. He roared, stumbling. She leapt, blades raised, slashing his flank open. Blood sprayed across the stone. The crowd gasped. The lion god was faltering. The hunter goddess's face was fierce, almost desperate. Now is her chance. She drew her blades, sprinted toward him, leapt for his throat. But his eyes snapped open again. The voices sharpened into a single name. Babara. Naraka's roar tore the sky in half. His wings flared, throwing the hunter goddess back before her blades could strike his throat. She hit the ground hard, skidding across shattered stone. Naraka, help us, the voices said again. It was Shumba this time. Naraka stirred. His body shook. His head rose. His roar returned. The voices were still there, but now they fueled his rage. The hunter goddess staggered up, panting, blades trembling in her hands. She had never seen such power. For a heartbeat, she almost dropped her weapons. Then she screamed and charged. She was the people's champion. She could not stop now. Her blades slashed in a storm. Every cut meant to end him. Naraka blocked with his claws, with his wings, with the sheer force of his body. Sparks and fire flew. Her speed was unmatched, but his strength had turned unstoppable. He struck once, a paw swipe that shattered her guard and sent her spinning. She rolled, barely avoiding the follow-up strike that split the ground open like an earthquake. The arena trembled. Pillars cracked. Dust rained down. Gasps filled the air. Some gods rose from their seats. Asherah covered her mouth. Amarith leaned forward, her eyes wide with disbelief. Vorian actually smiled, murmuring, "Now this is war." The hunter goddess coughed blood, wiped her mouth and stood again. She would not yield, not while the Savannians watched. No, she would fight to the very end. She leapt, her blades cutting arcs of silver. Naraka let her come. At the last moment, his wings snapped forward, cloaking him in fire and storm. She struck the shield of feathers, and his jaws came down, not to kill, to end it. He slammed her into the stone floor, pinning her with one massive paw. Her blades clattered away. She struggled, but his weight crushed the fight out of her. Silence. Then a roar of voices, gods, immortals, the heavens themselves crying out in awe. The lion god stood victorious. The hunter goddess, fierce and unyielding, was broken beneath him, not slain, but utterly defeated. And before the god of the universe could rise to declare the match, Naraka vanished, a streak of fire and shadow gone from the arena. The gods leapt to their feet, shouting in confusion. The crowd wailed. Asherah's eyes widened, her hand over her heart. God's face darkened. Where? Did he go? Whispered Amarith. Vorian only laughed, shaking his head. He left, in the middle of glory, bold. The god of the universe sat, his eyes narrowed. The arena shook with his absence, and then the earth itself trembled. Naraka landed in the lion people's village like a falling star, wings folded tight, eyes burning. The ground split beneath his paws. All around him, chaos, fires, screams, the huts torn apart, the bodies of lion people scattered, and at the center of it, Babara. The ape lord stood over Shumba, a blade raised high, ready to sever his head.
No!
Naraka's roar split the night. Babara turned too slow. In a flash, Naraka crossed the distance. His paw, no, his hand, closed around Babara's wrist. Bone cracked. The blade fell. Before Babara could cry out, Naraka's other hand smashed across his chest, sending the ape lord flying through a hut. The walls exploded into dust. The apes froze. For one heartbeat, they saw what no mortal should, their leader, their terror, broken like kindling. Then Naraka was everywhere, a blur of fire and wings. He tore through the invaders, his spear flashing, his claws rending, his roar breaking their hearts before his strength broke their bodies. Every strike was decisive, every blow fatal. Apes dropped one after another, as if the night itself was swallowing them. Babara crawled from the wreckage, blood pouring from his mouth. He staggered to his feet, bared his teeth, and Naraka was already upon him. A paw closed over Babara's head.
You dare touch my people?
Naraka's voice shook the earth. He lifted Babara high into the air, then slammed him down with such force that the ground cratered beneath the body. The ape lord twitched once, then stilled. Silence. Nothing but crackling fire and the broken breathing of the survivors. Naraka turned, chest heaving. Shumba lay there, wide-eyed, trembling, still alive. The lion god's fire dimmed. He knelt, touched Shumba's shoulder, his voice low.
Take care of my people.
And before anyone could speak, before Shumba could even nod, Naraka's wings spread. With one thunderous beat, he rose into the night sky. A heartbeat later, he was gone. Back to the heavens. The arena thundered as Naraka returned. One breath he was gone. The next he stood again in the center, blood still wet on his armor, the dust of the earth clinging to his mane. The gods gasped. The crowd froze. Naraka knelt, his head bowed. He knew what he had done. The god of the universe rose from his throne. His eyes burned like suns. His voice shook every pillar of the heavens.
Naraka!
The name rang through the air. Silence followed.
You have left this arena, you have broken the sacred law. No god may meddle in the affairs of mortals unless called by my hand. And yet, you went. You left the fight of the heavens. You abandoned the judgment of this place, and you went to your people.
The gods shifted uneasily. Whispers passed like a storm. Some gasped, some watched with awe. Amarith leaned forward, eyes wide. Vorian sat tall, fascinated. This was free will, laid bare before their eyes. The god of the universe turned, his gaze now on the hunter goddess.
And you, daughter of the hunt, you fought with all your strength. The Savannians who chose you will sing of this fight for ages. They gave you their trust, and you did not waste it. You stood against the lion, and you did not falter. For this you have my honor. You are a champion, no matter the crown.
The hunter goddess bowed her head. For a heartbeat, her face softened, touched, proud, though she still trembled from the fight. Then the god of the universe looked again at Naraka. His voice deepened.
And you, Naraka, you love your people so fiercely that you would break the laws of heaven itself. You chose them over your crown. You risked everything. You disobeyed me before my own kin. This should strip you of your title. This should mark you in shame.
He paused. The silence was sharp, unbearable. Every god leaned in. The mortals watching from below clutched their hearts.
But a god who loves his people more than glory, more than titles, is still a god worth following. You have made a blunder. You have broken law. Yet in your breaking, you have revealed the heart of who you are. And that, Naraka, is greater than any victory.
Gasps filled the air. Some gods whispered in shock, others nodded with tears in their eyes. Asherah pressed her hand to her heart. Vorian leaned forward, whispering, "Such a thing would never happen in my realm." But his voice held wonder, not scorn. The god of the universe raised his hand for silence.
Now for my judgment.
He paused.
Naraka,
All creation seemed to hold its breath.
you will remain heavenly champion. A god must always choose his people before himself. Wear this crown with weight, for it is heavier than before. Let every god here know, this is what it means to be a champion.
Naraka raised his head. His eyes burned, but his face was solemn. He placed his hand on his chest.
I am their god. I am nothing without them.
He bowed again. The heavens trembled. Some gods wept. The crowd erupted into cheers, cries of Naraka's name breaking the sky itself. Not for his strength, not for his crown, but for the lion-hearted god who loved his people more than victory itself. And that, my dear Savanians, is how Naraka, the lion god, rose above gods and crowns alike, forever remembered as the god who loved too greatly to be forgotten. And that, my dear Savanians, brings us to the end of Season 3 of our Mermaids, Lion People and Witches series. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. As you know, we end each season with a battle that is worthy, and this time we ended with a fight fit for the gods themselves. What a journey this season has been. We have laughed together, we have cried together, and we have walked through fire with our heroes. We danced at weddings, trembled at betrayals, and stood in awe as gods rose and fell. We watched sisters sacrifice for each other, lovers torn between duty and desire, and when the witches came for vengeance, we were reminded that not every enemy can be struck down with a spear. In the last episode, I asked you to vote for your champion, and with one voice you chose the hunter goddess. She fought with all her strength, and in her struggle, we saw more than just a single battle. We saw ourselves. Her fight became our fight. Her resilience became part of our story. And in that moment, we realized that the history of the savannah is something we shape together. Thank you to every single one of you who cast your vote, who commented, who showed up. You are the ones who breathe life into the savannah, guiding its path, shaping its turns, and making it more than a tale. Together we have written a history of choices, sacrifices, and bonds that will never be forgotten. This story does not just belong to the characters, it belongs to you. And because of you, my dear Savanians, it will always live. A heartfelt welcome to Jessica Coleman for joining the monthly subscription tribe. I truly appreciate you taking your place at the inner table. Your support means the world, and I'm grateful you've chosen to be part of this journey. I also want to take this moment to thank the 5 members who continue to sacrifice each month to keep this vision alive. You may not know how much it means to me, but it means everything. Your choice to stand with me, to choose me, is a gift I will never take lightly. Because of you, the savannah grows, breathes, and lives. And for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Want to support the channel and become an even bigger part of our tribe? You can join for as little as the cost of a coffee each month. Your support helps me continue creating the content you love, but of course, just having you here is already more than enough. Thank you for being part of this journey. And as always, thank you for watching our story, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching The Tales of the Savannah. We will see you next time in the Savannah.